Okay, so who's all out?
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Final Whistle here on the Bama Standard Network. We know y'all just heard the Bama Standard with the great cast and crew and listening to Marquise Mays, the Bama legend. But thank you guys for tuning in to the Final Whistle, where I got my rowdy group of guys with me, and we're going to talk all things, everything, Bama football, Bama basketball, recruiting, all the good things. But most importantly, don't just hit that like and subscribe button. Smash that like, subscribe button. Tune in, tell a friend, and let's get it started. So, guys, ladies out there, you want to talk about Riz. This guy got Riz. The one and only Daniel Pettey. How are you, Mr. Pettey?
Man, glad to be here with my fellas on this Tuesday night, man. I feel it's been so sleepy this off season. I don't know. I'm ready to start talking some ball, but I always get a little more excited to be here with the Avengers. I know we're down a few. Got some thoughts and prayers going out to a couple of guys under the weather on the team, but they'll be back with us soon.
They're just playing hooky. No, I'm just playing.
Yeah. They're on the island.
Listen, the guy who is Mr. UFC, Mr. Blaze Hayes, the one and only, all around the table sports, who's now over legal departments now, handling his paperwork, studying cases, the one and only Todd Hayes. How are you, sir?
Man, spring ball is here. Listen, I do enjoy college basketball, but nothing's like college football. And so now that we got some college football to talk about, I'm back engaged. I'm back ready to go.
Excuse me. I'm getting choked up about our next panelist. Chris James, better looking brothers, is what the ladies say down at the nursing home. Our lead recruiting analyst, Dan James. Dan, how are you?
Man, hey, spring ball is here. We're a quarter of a way into the season. Hey, let's get to it, man. Lots of stuff to talk about.
Lots of stuff to talk about. Spring ball is on its way, and we're going to get it started. But speaking of spring, the flowers are starting to spring up. We're getting more rain. And, the grass is starting to turn a little bit more greener. And if you want a greener, a better looking landscape, get hard with Limestone Inc. Pettey, can you talk to us about the amazing, great work that Limestone Inc. does?
Absolutely. Man, got to give a little love to those people who give love to us here at the Standard and the Final Whistle. That is Limestone Company. Check them out at realrockstone.com. Inevitably, you've driven around and seen those beautiful homes with that natural stone. Well, if you're in the process of building your dream home, don't wait. Go to Limestone now, realrockstone.com, located in Aniana, Alabama, one of the oldest, most trusted sources in the state. Tell them we sent you by using the promo code the Bama Standard, and you'll receive 10% off your purchase of stone. So look, you've ever dreamed of having that beautiful natural stone on your home, now is the time. Check out Limestone today, after the show, of course.
After this show, if you want your yard to get hard, go to Limestone Inc. Right there. Sorry, my lights are fluttering over here with all these storms, so I might be going in and out. But guys, let's talk about it. We know Marquise Mays was on the show early on the Bama Standard. It's such a great show. Ty, let's just talk about, Mays has kind of got his points regarding length and everything. Ty, we were kind of discussing earlier, could you just mention that one-liner regarding length? Just to preface the fans out there, Mays is a big proponent that we need to move on from length and focus on getting back to Alabama.
Yeah, and listen, far be it from me to argue with someone like him, right, who put on the uniform, who did a lot. So I'm not going to do that. But I do see this from both sides. I think that kids are vastly different now. And when we were in the green room, I was even talking about, when I talked to my wife's family, those kids who are in high school, I just turned 30. And the difference between like a high school kid now compared to a 30-year-old versus when I was in high school talking to my cousins who were 30, it's crazy. And I think that like social media exploding has a lot to do with it. So it's just a totally different type of kid. But where I do agree with this with some of the detractions, with some of the arguments against length, is I think that it became to where people were more worried about a brand instead of the brand. And the brand is Alabama. The brand is what Bryce Young used to get $1 million NIL deal, not only because he was a baller, but because he was at Alabama. The brand is what teams from all over the nation are poaching from every single offseason. Bama's roster is there being poached from. The brand is what these NFL GMs are looking for every single draft. And there's a reason why there's going to be more guys going from Alabama to the league because they know what they get. So I'm not against length, right? Because I see it from both sides. I think that that's one where we're at now in college football. And for me, if you can use something like length as a mental edge, go for it. I'm here for it, right? But I also think there is a balance to this where you already have a top brand in sports, not just college football. You see that script A, you know exactly what it is. There's very few brands that can say that. In college, there's very few. Bama's one of them. So that's my take on that, and I'll leave it there.
All right, so we got more people want to come in, ladies and gentlemen. The guy who told John Cena to, backstab Dusty Rhodes, Justin Riley. Justin, you here?
Yes, I was behind the whole betrayal, the ultimate heel turn, and we may actually talk about that a little bit later.
That may come up later in a segment.
It may come up. So WWE fans, hold tight. We're coming. As far as length goes, honestly, the onset, there was nothing wrong with it. I like the mantra, and I think it was more so geared towards the fans that did not believe because of certain players departing. It became more of a big deal with Nick Saban leaving. Everybody thought that Bama was going to be back to Independence Bowl contenders instead of being Bama as we know it. But the thing is, as Ty mentioned it, it's like they try to use that to outbrand the brand. They were bigger than that. And it also felt like instead of a battle cry, it was basically the mantra of pick me girls everywhere. Look at me, look at me. And fans began to resent that because there was a lot more talking and a lot more showboating than production on the field. And I think that's where fans began to resent that a little bit. Now, had we backed things up on the field, I think the length, the mantra in itself would have had more weight, but would have been more powerful. But at the end of the day, it kind of fell flat, and at one point it became embarrassing.
I like that. Great topic. Great input. Ty, Justin, listen, all the fans out there, get in the chat. Let us know your thoughts on length. So we're going to move forward. And guys, like Ty said, college football, like no other. We know Alabama is the #1 brand. I saw a report. They said who's the most followed college football program. It's the University of Alabama. So, guys, spring ball has kicked off on Monday. I'm so excited. We're going to get into, just talking about day one from Monday. We're going to look at some things, looking at week one expectations, what phase one looks like, message DeBoer is trying to send, and what DeBoer needs from upperclassmen. I'll let each one of y'all kind of, answer these questions, break it up how you want to. But I'm just excited to see the Tide. It looks like you're hearing statements from DeBoer. You're seeing Ryan Grubb on the sideline. You're seeing Kane Womack. You're seeing Keelan Russell with the powerful arm. You're looking at Ty Simpson. You're seeing Austin Mack. You're seeing guys make plays. listen, I think Alabama under Dippre, under year 2, is going to be something that, they are going to be a formidable opponent now. They got a tough schedule. My biggest issue, hey, let's learn the playbook, let's get focused, and let's stay healthy, and let's unite as a team. Pettey, I'll start with you. I'll let you go in on this topic first, sir.
Look, I think this is a cleansing. And look, I know, and especially on this show, I'm labeled as one of the bigger Milroe critics out there throughout the season and his time here. And I was harsh on some of what I thought his shortcomings were, but I also saw a lot of promise in the athlete he was. But one of the problems, and when you have a coaching change, and not just going from the greatest coach to ever do it, like that's a whole nother ball of wax, but any coaching change, your coach is kind of taking the cards he's dealt. And as great of an athlete as I thought is Milroe was, that was kind of square peg, round hole in Dippre's offense. He was never going to look like what Washington ran and the way Penix ran it. So you kind of go through a transition year. And hell, he took a transition year and beat Georgia, went 9-3. Look, I know it got ugly at the end with the Oklahoma and Michigan game, but still, in transition year, able to keep it together. So fast forward to now, and again, you're in the shadows of Nick. I think this is kind of his first cleansing year where this is really going to be his program. He's got his coordinator that he wanted out of the gate, his guy he trusts the most. I don't think the offensive playbook's going to change that much. It may look a lot different with the different type of personnel running it, but I do think it's going to look different in a seasoned veteran calling those plays and knowing when to call them and having a feel for the game. That matters so very much, and that's where Grubb is going to be special and what we didn't have last year. And again, but what it really needs, phase 1, Alabama's about freaking ass competition. When we were great in the Saban era, it's because there was competition at every position, and your ass feared that if you didn't get it done, the next guy was going to take your spot. And that's what we need to establish in phase 1 to me in the spring. Get back to Alabama football where your fear was if I ain't the man, some other guy's about to come that's hungry is going to come get it. Let's have some competition. Like you said, Todd did a great job talking about the labels. That's good and for what they are, but that A is the only label that matters. And let's get back to that.
And Todd, before I give it to you, Pettey, you made such a great point regarding competition. I mean, you look at the job Courtney Morgan, Dippre, all of them have done. They're finally got majority of their team players here. I mean, you look at guys just making plays. We have competition all across the board at every position, which I think is going to help benefit Alabama. Ty, I'm interested to get your thoughts on what you're seeing spring ball coming from the University of Alabama and phase 1 in week 1.
Yeah, I think Pettey hit the nail on the head, and I'm going to take a thought that Pettey had, and I'm going to run with it for the position group that I'm most excited about. Because, Pettey, you're talking about competition. What was the position group we were all nervous about last year? Now, y'all know me. I was really nervous about the offensive line. But everybody out there, including Nick Saban, talked about the defensive backfield. Okay, well, you lose a leader in Malachi. I'm going to miss him, man. I'm really going to miss him. Looking forward to see what he does in the pros. Right? Xavier Brown, Damani Jackson, Day Jones. Then you get in that kid from Utah who was labeled as a top cornerback in college football for pretty much every grading metric.
Calhoun.
You already see the practice clip. Kids out there intercepting a ball that wasn't a bad pass, but he's right on Jalen Hale like stink on poop. So this is a off season where even that position group, you look at the competition there, it's insane. Then you have Zay Mincy, who looked real good when they moved him around in the secondary. He was a young player. He was green. I think he's going to be a dude that you got to watch out for. You have Red Morgan there still. You got Dejon Lee there. Like, this defensive backroom, Pettey, if that's not competition, like the names I just said to you, you'd be forgiven if you were like, man, that sounds like a Nick Saban defensive backroom. You're 100% right, it does. I'm more excited about this defensive backroom than I've been in a while, and that says something to the competition. And I'm sorry about the monsoon in the background, but we're out here.
Nothing wrong with that. Dan, give us your thoughts. What you're so excited about seeing in year 2 at Dippre and this Alabama football team as they kick off spring ball.
Yes, one thing I'm excited about is we're going with the different quarterback for the first time in a few years, and I'm trying to see who's going to emerge as leaders of this team. What is this offense going to look like after a year under Coach DeBoer's system? We got Ryan Grubb in the fold. Very excited about that. The play calling, the offense to see what strides we're gonna be able to make in going into year 2, because we tend to have lapses at crucial points. And Pettey, we actually didn't go 9-3, went 9-4.
9-4. I was drunk on a boat when Michigan happened, so it's like if it happens on a boat, it don't count. I don't count that. 9-3.
I'll allow
yeah,
it.
But like you said, go ahead, Ty.
No, I just said I'll allow it.
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, but like you said, the depth at the secondary, immense talent. We added some pieces, lost some pieces at the receiver position. We have a lot of talent. I want to see how it transitions. We got a lot of new incomers that we have reason to be excited about. We saw a little glimpses. They'll send out these little clips. They get us excited. But you see the Latzia Brooks. You see guys like that. You see Jalen Hale back out there. You got Cam Calhoun. Making plays. You see Tim Keenan with the big man play. Pick. So it's a lot of things to be excited about. What this defense is gonna look like in year 2, the swarm. Will we take a step forward, going into year 2? We got Deontay Lawson coming back. That's gonna help. He's the guy with the green dot. So experience with the play calling. So it's a lot of things to be excited about as we transition. Continue to transition into the Coach DeBoer era.
I agree. I know, Dan, to your point, I'm just so excited about all the competition, and in a long time, like Ty said, he's excited about the defensive back room. I'm excited about those guys up front. It always starts with the big guys in the trenches, offensive line, defensive line. I'm looking at the defensive line, and listen, we got some horses: James Smith, Jordan Renard, Kelby Collins. We got some guys that can make some noise. So Justin, we want to bring Justin back on. Justin Riley,
yes, sir.
Back from Texan John Cena. See what they're going to do this weekend. Question.
I tried to text him, but I couldn't see him. Anyway, couple of things. One, I was watching the Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary on Netflix the other day, and he was talking about how back in his heyday of his movie career, he made smoking a stogie cool. Well, I believe that until tonight, and I see Ty Hayes, and I completely find the great one. He may be the best in bodybuilding, but he is a liar, because Ty Hayes is bringing sexy back with his stogie smoking. In the middle of a storm. I'll remind everyone
in the middle
of that.
Of the storm, guys.
In the middle of the storm.
I am the storm.
I don't always smoke cigars, but when I do it with a tornado in my backyard.
The next thing I want to talk about, what Coach DeBoer needs for upperclassmen. I think he needs the upperclassmen to all have the same mentality of Rod Montgomery. If you missed the statements he made a few weeks ago on our show, I encourage you to go back and watch that. And it went viral. Several shows, including Josh Pate, talked about it and applauded Rod Montgomery for that mentality. It needs to be across the board from all the upperclassmen, whether it's senior, junior, what have you. But also he needs those upperclassmen to buy into him and not let there be any kind of disharmony or discontent, people being independent contractors like what we saw this past season. All that needs to be put behind, and these guys need to draw the line in the sand now so that what we saw last year does not repeat itself. We don't need to see any kind of falling short with the talent we have. Or do we have the talent level of what we're used to in Alabama past? Not necessarily, but maybe so. We don't know quite yet how some of these guys will develop. Matt, I want you to break things down for the casual Alabama fan or even college football fan. We really don't know what goes on in spring practice. And as it says right here in the title, I feel like it's broken down into different phases. If you could go back with me to your playing days and to spring training as you experienced it, I don't feel like there's much of a difference between how things are implemented. But what was it that you as a player and then your coaching staff was trying to accomplish week one, and then what's the progression to the next week and then the next week leading up ultimately to the culmination of all things A-Day?
Well, listen, you got a couple things, and I'll talk about, guys like freshmen coming in, and like your freshmen, your Keelan Russells, your Dijon Lees, this is their aha moment to coming into college football. And yet it is spring. They're learning college classes, time management, practice. So it is a lot that they are learning. And so they are just soaking in as much information, extensive playbook. And so from Coach DeBoer, from coach's standpoint, I remember Coach Saban coming in, his transition in spring ball. It's all about teaching how he wants things run, fundamentals, working on technique. And as Pettey mentioned, it's about competition. You need to see where you're at. You want to compete, make each other better, and it's always learning. And so this is basically, we're putting the ingredients together. We don't have all the ingredients, but we're all working in the process to really to bake that cake. Shout out to Coach Saban when he said this a couple of years ago, to bake that cake to be ready in the fall, come kickoff at Tallahassee. So you're doing a lot of teaching. Young guys are learning a lot. DeBoer is really putting in his method. I feel like, last year he was just trying to hold the ship together, just put everything together, not lose as much anymore, because he lost so much when Saban retired, portal, all that stuff. And so now I think Coach DeBoer is able to implement his program. He's got Ryan Grubb, he's got year two with most of these coaches. Now he's able to institute what he wants, his vision, his command of the football team, and you're going to see a different Alabama this football season come in 2025. So I think the message DeBoer is, last year he talked about getting 1% better. I think this year is going to be shifting to more like executing, dominating each day, dominating our opponents. Some of the things we've kind of heard that, Coach Saban always preaches, but I think, because it was DeBoer's first year, he had so much going on. He was just trying to, keep the boat afloat. Now in year two, he's going to demand a lot more in his messaging. And now he's got his players and he's got the leadership. He's got a lot of veterans. He's going to be able to really implement his message, his mindset that he wants his players to go out there and dominate.
I love that. Very well said. What does install look like each week? How much is actually going to be thrown into these guys week by week? Is it going to be just the basics, or are they really going to dive deep into the playbook, or is that something more so you wait until fall to really get into? And I guess the last question would be, how much decision making as far as depth chart goes is really made in the spring?
Well, it's different nowadays. I just answer the A part of that question. Install, I'm looking at it from these guys. It's going to be a lot of teaching. You get about 15 practices, including the 8A. I don't know if it is the 15th is the 8A. So you might have 14, 15 practices. So it's going to be a decent amount of install, especially for the young guys And you got to think offensively, we're getting a new OC. So Ryan Grubb has got to build a rapport. You can breaking in new quarterbacks, new mindsets, new pace of offense, thought process. So it's going to be a nice learning curve for overall for the offense. As far as install, now you're not going to get to the majority of your playbook, but you're going to basically have all the kind of concepts, themes, the principles, how we want to execute out these sets, formations, all that stuff is kind of going to be teach and install under Ryan Grubb. Now the board can just let Ryan Grubb cook and how he wants his offense to run. And you look at Kane Womack on the defensive end, I think last year was just a little taste. I think now he's in year 2, he's got a lot more veteran leadership. We got Keenan, all those guys, James Smith, a lot of the secondary coming back. I think you're going to see a lot of install, but I think he might, he won't get all in the playbook, but he's going to add some things. I think he's been in the lab adding a few wrinkles to the swarm defense. So it's going to be some teaching. But you basically laying the foundation in the spring ball for what you want to accomplish in the fall.
Man, I love that. Guys, that man just knocked it out of the park. He deserves a standing slow clap for that. What do you think, chat? Tell us what you think about Matt's explanation. How are you feeling now with spring practice moving forward? Tell us what you want to see. Throw some questions in the chat. We'll get to them later. I'll turn back over to the professionals.
So, yeah, I don't know about the professionals. We're trying. But, yeah, I'm excited. Anything else y'all want to add? I know we mentioned Cameron Calhoun. I mean, that guy's a freaking stud. I mean, guys like Ivan Taylor. But I think a big highlight for me, shouts out to the wide receivers, LaShia Brooks. Ty, you've been raving about this guy. Dan, you've been raving about this guy. Pettey, you cover recruiting. Listen, the guy from New Jersey, I believe, I'm just saying he reminds me of Jalen Waddle, the second coming of Jalen Waddle. Looks like it has come back to Tuscaloosa in that 17 jersey. Anything else? I know everybody was just enamored. Let's kind of, Ty, you talked about quarterbacks, and you can't talk about quarterbacks and not talk about Alabama's quarterback competition. Just the little excerpts that we saw of Ty Simpson, Ty Hayes, obviously, QB1 here on the final whistle. But looking at Keelan Russell being able to just throw the ball effortlessly and throw dimes, just the little clips that we saw, kid kind of looks really impressive. I think he's going to push in this QB competition. I'm going to start with Ty, then I'm going to go Dan, then Pettey. Let me get your thoughts on, what you saw from the quarterbacks and just a little snippets out there.
So I've always said this forthright. I'm always biased towards these guys from North Texas. Why? Because I've probably watched them play a lot. And if you're familiar with where I'm at in Texas, Dan, you're familiar. I could listen. First off, I could hit those mountain ranges over there with the football. That's the type of cannon we're working with over here. This is peak male form over here, okay? But even if you were a lesser male form, you could throw a ball a couple 5-stars from where I'm sitting right now. Like, this is a stupid area with talent. Duncanville's near, Alito's near, Salina, Prosper's right here, Denton Ryan, Denton Geyer, South Oak Cliff right down the street. Like, it's crazy. So Key Russ is super athletic. He's played against guys that are going to be playing college football. And one of the things I saw about Key Russ that I wanted to push back on, I saw a lot of people in the offseason, even before he got to campus, saying, oh, well, he has all these weapons at Duncanville. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, first off, someone's got to get them the ball, and those throws are as accurate as can be. And two, he's not going to have weapons at Alabama? So, those two ideologies don't coexist, right? Like, he's going to have weapons in college because he's playing college football. So he's going to have people who are exceptional. I think Ty Simpson is the guy right now that'll lead it off. Gentlemen, I'm just going to leave you with this. Shout out to Brinsky. Shout out to the Sharpshooters podcast. Shout out to Coach Sean, because I said this on their show last night. Don't sleep on Austin Mack either to make this a really interesting competition. There's one quarterback in this room that Ryan Grubb has worked with before. It's not Key Russ. It's not Ty Simpson. It's Austin Mack. So as much as I think Ty Simpson is the guy, it's his job to lose, I think Key Russ has the highest upside. But there's only one guy that knows Grubb, and that's the guy that was on the team with him, and that's Austin Mack.
And I want to add to that, Austin Mack, they chose Austin Mack over a lot of big-time quarterbacks coming out of California. Dan, what do you want to add about this QP competition? What you like? What you excited about?
Yeah, I want to see how Coach DeBoer handles it. You know, Coach Saban used to drag it out till the season, to the first snap of the season. You know, Coach DeBoer, you know, he established earlier, okay, this is Jalen Milroe's team. This is Jalen Milroe's team. And he proved that with the way he handled the quarterback position last year. But this year is different. You know, you got 4 unproven guys, but four not just say unproven, but 4 capable, but also unproven guys. And, you know, I want to see how is he going to handle this. You know, is he going to go ahead and establish a leader early, or is he going to, you know, take the Coach Saban approach, drag it out through, spring, summer, then fall camp, and before he names a leader, So that's really what I'm excited about, because, you got talent stockpiled at the position, so it's got to be a tough decision, but you got like Ty said, you only got one guy that played for Ryan Grubb, and that's Austin Mack. So it's a lot of ways this could play out. So I'm interested to see how it actually will play out.
Yeah, of course. I think, the quarterback battle, and, we've had Milroe for a couple of years. It's been a position that we've kind of known who the guy was going to be. Even when it was Milroe, there wasn't much of a competition, and we might finally get one this year. I was fortunate enough to have Roman Harper on, I guess, a week or two ago, and ask him specifically, because being on the SEC network, knowing what he gets to see and watch, and the fans getting to hear what he thought about, Keelan Russell coming in as a freshman playing. And he kind of takes the old school mindset, which I kind of lean to as well, just because, I'm old man yells at clouds too. That it's very hard for a true freshman to come in and start at quarterback immediately, regardless of talent level. I'm with Ty a lot on this. We're in a different era. These aren't kids that are coming like Brett Favre, where he threw 4 passes in high school and had to learn the game. These kids are learning on a different level than any time in our history. So they are coming in more prepared. So that is the great mystery. I think this is the first time we're going to have a true competition. I tend to believe it's going to start out being Ty because of the experience, but don't sleep on Austin Mack. When he came in, man, the kid has a great deep ball. He's got a great arm, and he does have the experience in the offense. But I just, I can't sleep on Russell's talent level. But the thing I want to see, a true freshman coming into the SEC is always going to be a jump in talent level and speed. And as I say that, a 14-year-old came out of Saraland and started wide receiver and set the nation on fire last year. So, it's a different day of college football. Who knows what the hell can happen?
He was 17 years old.
Great point.
No, 17.
Great point.
17, my bad. I thought he had just got, just hit puberty and played middle school and jumped right to Alabama. My bad.
So unfortunately, the 17-year-old Shine is no more. He's now an 18-year-old, and guess normal, right? Unless they can find some other way to bring more attention to him other than his field of play. But if you watch the tape of Keelan Russell back in high school, you're absolutely amazed, and it just carries over to what you saw in reps yesterday. You gotta love how he throws that ball. My gosh, and he does it with such ease and such finesse. It excites you to see that, but it makes you want to even get more excited about what's he going to look like in live reps. What's it going to look like when he's got defensive ends crashing down on him and he's got to improvise and make things happen? He's a guy that I feel like won't let the moment get too big for him. He's got that swagger about him, but I'm looking for that. I think the real competition is ultimately going to be between Ty Simpson and Austin Mack, but I feel like the board is going to create opportunities and plays, a certain amount of opportunities and plays each game just to ease Kalen into this offense to where at the end of the season, I think he'll make an impact with those plays. He's going to be properly grown and matured. And then in 2026, it's going to be his time to shine, and he'll be able to take the baton without skipping a beat whatsoever. And possibly, I'm saying possibly, I'm not saying it's definite, turn into a Bryce Young type situation. We shall see. But ultimately, I don't think Keelan's going to start right away. Give him time, let him learn. But I do feel like I said, there's going to be some plays put in to give him those reps, those valuable reps, keeping him happy, keeping him out of the portal, and then grooming him for the following season to eventually take over.
I like that. You know, I gotta play devil's advocate. You know, I got too much Saban in me. Shouts out to Harvey Updike. But listen, when I was watching the highlight video, I did know Cameron Calhoun had an interception, Bray Hubbard had an interception, Tim Keenan had an interception. I'm like, who's throwing these picks? So, you know, I'm happy for the defense, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to be turning the ball over from an offensive perspective. But that's just the competition that you get in spring ball. You know, the defense probably going to be a little bit ahead of the offense, especially with Ryan Grubb, you know, installing his offense his way, what he likes to do, plays he likes to run, concepts he likes to go. So, guys, we're all excited here on the Final Whistle about spring ball. And, guys, let's shift gears to our next topic regarding CJ Dippre. Amazing tight end who performed really, really well at the NFL Combine. I think he led the tight end groups in reps and bench press. He looked pretty good running drills 40. You know, he did the Senior Bowl. So I think CJ Dippre made a name for himself as well as Robbie Oats. And that got us thinking, you know, was CJ Dippre underutilized at Bama? And I'm going to let my main man, Daniel Pettey, start this. We'll go Daniel, Dan, Ty.
Well, I don't know. It's the great debate. You see a lot of these guys get to the combine and then they put up these amazing numbers and you're like, well, why didn't they produce in college? And it's, you know, it can be a myriad of things, but man, here we go, beating a dead horse. I'm not sure
what he's going to say.
I mean, if you're going to tee it up, there was only two guys that got targeted. Ryan Williams, who was 14, we just talked about him. He hit puberty and then caught 17 had 17 targets a game. And then when we figured out, you know, Jeremy Bernard was kind of reliable, he got targets. But outside of that, the tight ends didn't get targeted. I think we will see that more this year, and we kind of expected it. But no, I mean, yeah, they were underutilized. But I'm gonna back off. We do this is more going at Milrow. I think this is a tell old as time. I think this is just the football fans' favorite thing to bitch about. Damn it, we need to throw it to the tight end more. We always, which, you know, sometimes we do. Sometimes OJ Simpson, I felt like, was on a milk carton half his damn time at Alabama. And I'm like, why is this freak not catching 15 balls a game? But yeah, we didn't get the tight
OJ
ends.
Howard.
Bronco, OJ
Did you say OJ Simpson?
Oh, yeah, Simpson, OJ Howard. OJ Howard. Not the one. Not the Bronco.
They don't fit.
Not the gloves. Woo, Freudian slip. Oh, my bad. Another rest in peace, OJ. You're up there with all the people you took out in the prior life, maybe, or either down there. We don't know. Yeah, OJ Howard. But my whole God bless that got me sidetracked. Tight ends, we can always, you know, I think people always bitch about not getting utilized enough, but no, Dippre didn't get utilized enough. Obviously, we saw his ability in the combine. But, I mean, it was just the offense didn't get utilized to its fullest. O.J. Simpson was a hell of a tight end.
He was a great tight end. Listen, he was was the killer at the tight end position.
Yeah, he was a killer at it, man.
I'm sorry, guys. You know I had to go there. It's what we do on the final whistle.
He would slice through the hole
Really put the
like a
dagger in the
knife.
defense.
Hey,
Really
he
would
had
put
the
that
hands
dagger
for the
in the
position.
defense.
Look at y'all corrupting me, man. Let's get back on
He was daggers once he got into the secondary.
He was a cut above all the other tight ends, guys.
Lord, forgive us.
Forgive us, Lord. Forgive us, Lord. We
No, I'm standing on business.
Dan, get us out of this conundrum, please.
Yes, man. The question was, was CJ Dippre underutilized at Alabama? Yes, and that's the thing. In every tight end in the history of Alabama, outside of Ozzie Newsome and Irv Smith, has been underutilized.
Yes, there you go.
So yes, the answer is a hard yes. Same goes for Robbie Oates. The guy had got an 80-inch vertical.
Yeah.
We had the best bench press at the combine for tight end. We had the best vertical at the tight end position, at the combine. So, are we bringing tight end you back? So great performance out of the tight end room at the combine.
Shouts out to Robert Oates, who had the stash with the mullet, I believe, running the 40 was cinematic. Ty, give us your this subject.
Something.
Was he underutilized? Hell yeah, he was underutilized. And listen, y'all have all said it. Brian in the comments said it. The tight end position at Alabama has been underutilized. But guys, when we look at the early portion of that season last year, Bama's offense was at its best. And we said this. This is the crazy thing. I'm about to say something that if someone wants to do the work and dig through the final whistles from the season, I said this very same thing. Dan said it. We've all said it. Bama's offense was at its best when they were utilizing the tight end earlier on in the season. We had that play where we had a beautiful play drawn up where you had all of the defense, their attention on I think it was a post corner route, where I don't remember whether it was Jeremy Bernard or Ryan Williams who ran it, took the safety with him, and then the tight end right up the seam. Boom,
right
touchdown.
Up the seam.
Beautiful, beautiful design. Where the hell was that the rest of the season? So, yeah, the tight ends were underutilized. Well, if it was still there, we didn't see it again, right? Like, even just from a concept, like, we didn't see it again. Yeah, he was underutilized. This was a guy I was really excited about when he came from Maryland. He is really good. I'm really excited to see what he does in the NFL, but I'm also very excited about what Bama has at the tight end room now. Josh Cuevas is a really interesting player. I'm excited to see what he does. Caleb Edwards, Danny Lewis. Like, there are some guys in this tight end room that you got to be excited about. It's just about getting them the darn ball. And that, to me, is going to be a catalyst for this offense. A quarterback can have a best friend as a tight end. As my laptop nearly went away right there. But we have a new quarterback. Strong running back and a good tight end is a new quarterback's best friend. And whoever takes this position, they're going to be new. Good tight end play, good running back play. That's going to help our quarterbacks get acclimated to the game.
I agree. Speaking of getting acclimated to the game, one thing that you don't underutilize when you need a towel, you need to overutilize a title towel from wetwillsports.com. As you can see in the bottom screen, go to wetwillsports.com and get you a title towel where you can overutilize it and maximize it either in Bryant-Denny, in Coleman Coliseum, the baseball stadium, Tom Sewell Stadium. Listen, if you're a Bama fan, get you a title towel at wetwillsports.com and use the promo code STANDARD, STANDARD. So, guys, let's shift to our next topic. I still got White Bronco in my head, just being transparent from Pettey. So,
Man,
Pettey, you
Who
can't
told
give
you
us
my nickname?
you cannot give us guys that layup and expect us not to.
Who told
Only
you my
Pettey.
nickname?
And I didn't even mean to put it. That's just a good old Freudian slip.
Yeah. Well, speaking of slip, guys, let's shift back to the court. It looks like Alabama going to Knoxville is always a challenging, hostile place. And it looks like Alabama let it slip away in the last 30 seconds. I'm going to let Dan and Pettey, our basketball experts, elaborate.
There's a lot of Freudian slips happening here.
Yes. Sorry, guys. It's getting late. You know how we get here on the Final Whistle. Our basketball escorts discussed Alabama, how they let it slip away in the last minutes, close to the final whistle of the Tennessee game, and how can they bounce back versus Florida and Auburn. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not even going into Auburn with hope. I'm focusing on the NCAA tournament. So, Dan, Pettey, the floor is yours. Talk about Alabama basketball.
Man, what I'm gonna tell you what happened, man. It was three things that really just rubbed me the wrong way in that game. The last, we played excellent, most of the game. You know what I'm saying? But listen, the missed block out on the free throw attempt from Jaron Stevenson, crucial. The inability, you had a freshman inbounding the ball, the inability to get the ball inbound without calling a timeout. You get 5 seconds. You don't turn the ball over in that situation at any time. You know what I'm saying? And then, 3 seconds ago, you let a guy dribble up the court without stopping the ball, set up, and get a clean shot. Those three things, were inexcusable. Those three inexcusable things that happened that cost us the game. And, I hope, and those are three teaching moments, very valuable teaching moments that you're going to need going into the tournament, so that's some stuff you don't want to see again. But, it all happened at the same time. We really, truly blew it down the stretch of that game.
Yeah, I agree, Dan. It's a game. The disheartening thing, it's a game that you control for 39 minutes and 30 seconds. And you're like, well, damn, because you literally, and Tennessee's one that's as good as we've been has kind of had our number. Barnes has got us to now 4 in a row. It was 3 in a row leading up to that. But hell, we're on the road in Knoxville. The announcers are saying this is the loudest stadium we've been in. It's a raucous environment, and you're controlling it. But the last 2 offensive sequences were just stupid fouls, sloppy play, not to block out the turnover. It's just dumb. But here's I guess the silver lining of it all. And I heard the stat today: the ACC has 38 quad 3 losses as a conference. The SEC has 1 as a conference. It's so damn good. And look, man, so what you get after having your heart ripped out on a last-second, almost half-court shot when you're thinking a game's going in overtime that you controlled, you get Florida, who's also a potential 1 seed. And then you get to go on the road to damn Auburn, who is a 1 seed, who's going to be fired up for that game. And then you get the break of going into the SEC tournament, which is going to be a daily grind once you get the bye. I'll be honest, though, and this is the silver lining. After you get through all this crap, it's more about seeding now. Do you get a 2? Do you drop to a 3? If you drop a game or 2 here, what are they going to do with you? The silver linings, once we get to March, that first and possibly even second weekend is going to be easier than the last month that Alabama's faced. All this is done is made that March, usually you're like, damn, we're playing someone like Virginia Commonwealth. I'm nervous. Nah. It's going to be a breeze that first weekend in March because of what the SEC teams have had to go through. Now, some of them may get there and be out of gas. I don't think Alabama's going to be one due to the depth that this team has. But, yeah, it sucks. But, again, you made a point during what you were saying, Dan. It's another learning lesson that you've got to be clean all the way to the end. You can't just play 39 minutes and 30 seconds. You got to play 40, especially when it gets to March. But, Guys, this has just been the most brutal SEC season of all time. Maybe the best sports conference in college sports history, to be quite honest. So a loss here or there is what it is. Just hope that you're, that here in about 2 weeks is when it really freaking matters. And as long as you get a good draw, good seeding, and you get to that final weekend, then all bets are off.
I agree. I think I got a whole conspiracy take. I think Nate Oats is playing the long game because he knows he's going to see possibly Tennessee again, Auburn again, and possibly Florida. So, I just want us to beat Florida. Auburn game, not too concerned. SEC tournament, not too much concern. I'm more concerned about getting Darian Reed, all those guys back healthy for the big dance. But yeah, Crimson Tide. Hey, let's roll on the basketball court. Okay, so let's go to Pettey's mailbag.
All right, got some good ones for you this week, guys. Some that may hurt some feelings too. First question, real good one. Had to really dig in on this one. Bowl games have kind of become watered down, especially now with the playoffs. I mean, all these Bahama Bowls and stuff like that. But we've had some classics come and go through the years. The Blue Bonnet Bowl comes to mind, the Sun Bowl. What bowl game do you miss meaning the most, Pettey? And, man, I really had to dig in my bag. And, man, I've got to go back to the Ivy Bowl. From 1989 to 1996, the Ivy League All-Stars would travel and play Japan's All-Stars in a football game. I didn't even know they played football over there. And, shockingly, the Ivy League won every one of them. And I guess they just disbanded it. I don't know if it was money. I don't know what the hell it was. But in the Ivy Bowl, USA, 6-0, baby, from 7-0, 89 to 96. That is the bowl game I miss the most, even though I honestly never even saw it play. Second question. Best venue to watch a college football game? Ooh. This is a good question, man. Because
before you answer it, are you talking like restaurants or just
stadium? I think that's stadium. That's a good question, man, because it depends on what you're looking for. Are you looking for a Denny dog to enjoy while you're watching the ball game? No, I mean, are you looking for a place that you can't hear yourself think, like Starkville where they ring the dumbass bells? Bryant-Denny, I'll be honest, I've been to most SEC stadiums at this point. Bryant-Denny is the Mecca. It's the most aesthetically beautiful. The pregame will put chills down your spine. I'm a big pregame guy, and I know it's going to ruffle feathers. When Auburn drops that dumbass bird and starts doing circles, it's pretty freaking cool. When LSU marches out to the eye on that tiger and the band guy hits the pole, and they blow up and to hold that tiger and 100,000 coon asses lose their shit, it'll send chills down your spine. It depends. I'm going to have to say, sorry, LSU on a Saturday night is my favorite place to watch a college football game. Yeah, Alabama. Look, and I know Ole Miss is a big rival to LSU. They get hyped for that game. I've been down there for both. Both of them were two of the best environments I've ever been in college football. You can go to that game sober and feel like you're drunk because it's like a freaking Mardi Gras carnival of people swaying the whole time. The whole stadium just freaking sways. It's insane. Now, I'll say this, Ephraim. I haven't been to A&M, and I've heard Kyle Field is really, really cool. But it's also a cult, and I'm scared to go because when you leave, you might be in some David Koresh type situation, and I'm too scared of all that kind of stuff. No. I don't want any part of a cult. Yeah, definitely. I'm going to have to say LSU. And, man, there's nothing like, man, when Cody blocked that kick, there's moments that I've heard the concussion bomb in Bryant-Denny. So I'm going to have to give a little bit. And, man, Neyland Stadium, hate it, love it, or whatever. That place is bonkers. I mean, they may throw mustard at you, but, Florida. And did you play in the swamp ever? You play? Yeah, you played in the swamp.
I mean, to me, I'm biased. I never played at Kyle Field, but to me, the best atmosphere – Alabama versus LSU in Death Valley, night game. You cannot beat it. Smoke, bourbon field, The Tigers out there, it is freaking insane. My favorite place to play at.
Yeah. There you go. So me and Matt have said it. So it's a fact. From you guys have y'all have one?
Yeah, Dan, Ty, y'all were mentioning some schools.
Penn State whiteout game.
Wow,
I
haven't been to that.
There you go. You took mine.
Yeah. All
right. Maybe Army Navy.
I do want.
I've heard Virginia Tech.
Yeah. The cadets and all that, man. Yeah. I feel like that would just be some chill bump moments throughout that game, if done right. Man, kind of staying in the same line. The next question, Pettey, what is the best rivalry game? I know people here are going to say hands down Bama Auburn. I get it, but I'm going to give a little bit of love to some other ones. Clemson, South Carolina is low-key some super special hate. At one point in the history, the South Carolina dressed up as Clemson fraternity, dressed up as Clemson cheerleaders and ran on the field and did a cheer, to which was answered by the students coming onto the field in a full-blown brawl starting. Those two teams absolutely hate each other. Texas, Oklahoma, the Red River. It's really cool. They do it out at the fairground. People get drunk. But I hate to break it to you, if that was an SEC game, we would have had a gunfight by now at that fairground. But the Red River shootouts up there, you can't sleep. I know we're in the South. Ohio State and Michigan is as big as it comes. Like people, I think there have been some murders over that. I'll never forget when the offensive lineman at Ohio State got kicked out, walked off the field with the the salute to the Michigan fans. The next year, the entire student section was wearing that shirt. But I'm getting out of football. Best rivalry in all of college sports. You got to go up to the Tar Heel State. It's North Carolina Duke basketball. It's must-see television. I've watched it since I was a kid. It's one of the most competitive rivalries. If you look back over the centuries, it's almost tit for tat. Duke, North Carolina, just to be some controversial. What you got, Matt?
Another rivalry that I saw, Georgia versus the Clark County Police Department.
Woo! Georgia. Yeah, man. I need to write that down. Georgia versus the police. I was wrong. I will also say, man, low-key to my other team, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, it doesn't have the fanfare, but if you've ever seen two people that just don't like each other, I mean, you've watched it on Thanksgiving night. They
got to bring it back on Thanksgiving night. It had its aura, in my opinion.
Well, because you would get your turkey, and then you would be like, "Here comes the clown show. Somebody's gonna piss in the end zone. Somebody's gonna fight."
Though you can eat and you get college football, and it's a rivalry game. It's usually freezing cold outside. It's like the best.
Ephraim, USC, Notre Dame's good. I'd actually say low-key USC, UCLA is one of the better uniform matchups in college football. Very good one. So, yeah, and look, guys, the Iron Bowl. There's nothing more traditional than Iron Bowl, right?
No.
Iron Bowl or the third Saturday in October?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Dan?
That's a good one. That's a tough one. Man, man. I hate Tennessee.
Chat. Iron Bowl, third Saturday in October. Give it to me.
Oh,
I need it. I need it in my veins.
They're like equal because you got to win both. You dislike both.
Army Navy's a great one.
It's so hard. To me, it's like you can't put one or the other one.
I tell you what, we're the same answer in both. You ask both of those fan bases, we're the unanimous answer.
And you ask LSU fans.
Hell, you ask LSU, they'll tell you,
yeah.
And I'll say this: it's also age determinant because you ask I think the elder statesmen will tell you Tennessee. Some of the younger fans may lean Auburn. It just because the rivalries have changed a little bit throughout the years. I'll say this: it seems like there you go. Iron Bowl number 1 says Byron Russell. All right, final question. This is more important than the Big Old rivalry, more important than the best venue, more important than the best old bowl game. Pettey, this past weekend, one John Cena shocked the world and gave his soul to The Rock. Was this the biggest heel turn? And I don't say WWE, that's dumb shit. I'm old school. in WWF history. So, I mean, we got to go back, and I know one of them wasn't in WWF, the other one that's going to be widely discussed, but we've got to go back to the OG heel turn, and that's Andre the Giant turning, or Paul Orndorff turning on Hulk Hogan. But Andre the Giant turning heel was big back in the day. It hurt my soul as a young Hulkamaniac. But then Hulk Hogan turning heel from the
Hollywood Hogan
Hulkamania to NWO. I mean, shocked the world. He dropped the leg on Randy Savage. Diesel, we're all in the crowd. I'll be honest, man. And I kind of saw it coming at the time. It's just one of those things. If you understood wrestling, you could feel it in the air. I didn't grow up in the Cena. I've been told that Cena is literally as big as Hogan to this generation's wrestling fan. So I guess that was a big deal, him turning and going to The Rock. But I'm going to have to give it to Hogan going NWO. You guys, come on.
That was a big
Justin,
deal.
hop on in here. I know you want to. I know you want to, Tribal Chief. Come on. Come on, big guy.
Yes, sir.
I'm going Hogan NWO is the biggest heel turn of all time. Sorry.
I got to go with it too. Just from this standpoint, John Cena right now is going on his retirement tour, his final run. It's only going to be for a year. When Hulk Hogan turned heel and became Hollywood Hulk Hogan, his career was far from over. Matter of fact, he rejuvenated his career. He turned wrestling upside down and made it incredible again, made it must-see TV. He brought everyone back to the screen. Wrestling was more popular than it had been in, man, maybe even a decade. So I'm looking at from a longevity standpoint, the whole Hollywood Hulk Hogan / NWO run lasted for at least a decade or so. So I think in terms of that, it wins there. But I'm sorry, if you grew up in the 80s, you're a Hulkamaniac. You said your prayers, you took your vitamins, you believed in yourself. And when you saw Hulk Hogan say, screw all that, and it crushed your soul. It like completely turned your whole childhood around, and it made you question life as we know it. That right there, that was good for business. And like I said, it probably saved wrestling, to be honest with you, at that time, because it was on a downward trend. People weren't as engaged. It just wasn't big, but all of a sudden it blew up again and had another great run.
Well, and you could also say it forced the WWF into taking it to the next level with their Attitude Era. So it kind of spurned a lot of things. And like you said, it wasn't just a farewell shock. Let's give the fans one last thing to talk about. It led into a decade-long thing with the NWO. So, yeah, I'm with you on that, Justin. It was big deal. I'll say this. The Cena thing obviously resonated. I heard people talking about it on college baseball games. I got texts from random folks I went to back, but no, man. So great question from the crowd, but there's no doubt. Come on, man. Hulk Hogan is, regardless of what you think about what of a crappy human he is, it's the biggest thing in wrestling.
I got something to add after Dan, but go ahead.
Dan must think it was the Four Horsemen turning on Sting.
No, not even that. You guys are so young, man. It was the biggest heel turn in wrestling history was Peanut Head. Y'all know who Peanut Head was?
What?
The referee that turned head.
Dan, I know you didn't go that far back.
Wow.
Dan's like, the biggest heel turn was Judas Iscariot.
Back when I was walking in the old days, there was this guy named Judas, and we were walking with this other guy named Jesus.
Yeah.
And he turned on his butt.
He turned on Jesus.
He turned on him, and man, it got wild. Like the ground shook.
But he see, but in that case, Jesus saw that coming. He said it was going to happen. So so he prepared him for it. But Teddy, I think was it Teddy Long? Was the ref name? Was it Teddy Long? Yeah,
it's Teddy Long.
That was the biggest heel turn.
He became actually a pretty big manager, and he had a long career. Right. He was great, and a general manager for Raw and SmackDown.
Right.
No, Ephraim's at. Look, that was my last question on the mailbag, but Ephraim did. Justin, what's your favorite type of match? Hell in a Cell. Look, no doubt the Bundy Hogan in the cage was the first match that I wanted to watch over and over. I think anytime they dropped the cage around, what did you think about it, Justin?
Man, I mean, that was polarizing back in the day just because it really hadn't been done before. And when you had the two guys in the steel cage, it was serious business. But of course, we've seen a lot more grander things than that since then. Yes, Hell in Cell, absolutely a huge staple in WWE history. When you talk about wrestling, you can't talk about wrestling without mentioning the Undertaker versus Mankind Hell in a Cell match. But I'm an old school guy. I've always been a Royal Rumble guy. That's always been my favorite.
Yeah.
But
No.
Pettey, I will speak on the whole John Cena heel turn. I watched John Cena's entire run, and yes, you are right. It is equally as big as Hulk Hogan's entire run. To this generation, he was that guy. He carried the WWE for a long time. And people wanted the heel turn, but they just never got it. This is a big deal because it brings viewers back. This WrestleMania, you were kind of wondering, how in the world can you possibly top last year's WrestleMania? Cody finishing his story, taking down Roman Reigns. You ask the question, okay, you did it, fantastic, but what's that next move? Well, anytime you have The Rock involved, he's always thinking 20 steps ahead. And he's been planning this for probably 2 years. This made WrestleMania worth watching again. And it not just WrestleMania, beyond that, because there's more layers to this whole heel turn that are going to unfold later. There's some other things that have yet to be revealed. And even has Matt Caddell watching because he did the whole The Rock did. So that it got Matt Caddell back watching again.
Well, and you couldn't have a face fighting a face as he went out. It's only going to be better that way. And if he loses, Dan said this. Look, you can't. I'm with you. The Hell in the Cell, the Royal Rumbles are my favorite, but you can't. The Hardy Boys ladder match. When they started doing the ladder matches, got pretty intense. Good stuff.
That was awesome.
Good stuff. Did we lose Matt?
Lost everybody, just me and you.
Is Matt?
Let me reposition myself here, and we're officially appointing Pettey as the host until Matt Caddell comes back. But
guys, bear with us, and I think even some of y'all, Brian's made mention of it in the chat. If you're in the South right now, paying attention, James fans probably got the suspenders on. Weather's getting a little nutty, so. I know Matt's in Birmingham. Weather's getting a little rough that way. So if we're in and out, we apologize for the technical stuff tonight. Yeah, look at Matt. He's now in witness protection. James fans done told him to get to his safe place.
Yeah,
he went to his phone.
But perfect time. It's time to throw the show back over to the fans. It's everyone's favorite segment. Very inclusive. That's the audience Q&A segment. We got some good ones tonight. And feel free to throw them up as we go. But we're going to get started tonight with Joe Edwards. What's going on with Red Morgan? No one is talking about him. Who wants to take that first?
This is a Matt.
Matt looks very anxious. Go ahead.
I'm going to tell you. Okay.
I'm going to say competition at the position. I mean, you're looking at Day Jones, Zay Mincy, Ivan Taylor, Cameron Calhoun. Dan, who you want to add?
Man, yeah, I wanted to say, what's going on, Red? No one is talking about him. I'm telling you, the good thing is, Red is not talking about him. That's a good thing. I can say, just keep working at it, young man. I still think he's going to be a big player for Bama. It's going to take time, but yeah, competition. Cream rises to the top. But I wouldn't write Red Morgan off just yet.
Very good, very good. All right, Joe Edwards is such a great fan of our show. He had to ask another question. Do you think Kalen DeBoer will be more discipline-minded than last year? Pettey, let's talk about that.
Yeah, I do. I think you'll have the ability to be more discipline minded. I think we said it on this show earlier that a lot of in a transition year, you've got 28 guys that leave to the transfer portal. You're just kind of picking up the pieces of what you got. So it's not like you can bring a team that you put together for 4 years and work it. So yeah, you can't just go in there and be full drill sergeant at times. I think. I'm sorry people disagree with that and want to, we're all, this is football. You got to be hard nosed. Man, it's different. It is. Deal with it. But with that said, that year's over. And this is becoming more his team. This is guys that you can tell them you love them on the recruiting trail, then jump their ass when they're not getting it done in a practice. So yeah, it is a time for that he can be a lot more disciplined than he was with the first group.
Okay. Yeah, my question about that is, can he hold the rope longer than Coach Fran? That's my question. He had the rope. Man. He had the rope. I give him that. He held the rope. So let's see. Can he hold it longer than Coach Fran?
Man, Matt passed him on the interstate coming in his freshman year.
And yeah, he was gone the next day. I was like, oh,
wow. Yeah.
Great question, Joey. Appreciate you. Then we're going to move on to Be Smooth. I think we all can answer this, but I'll let Dan start us out, then Matt and Pettey. Do you think Bray Hubbard can make an all-SEC team?
Without a doubt. I think he's the next in line. The going from quarterback to safety has worked out a lot throughout history. You look at John Lynch. You look at Richard Sherman. He defense back. You look at Ronnie Harrison. It's a lot of guys that transition from playing quarterback to becoming outstanding safeties later on in their career. But what the thing about Bray Hubbard that I'm so impressed with is he didn't play safety until he got to Alabama. He camped at Alabama. And, he wowed everyone with his length and range. His motion, and Coach Saban saw it. He said, "Hey, this guy can be an outstanding safety for us." And he's proven Coach Saban right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Bray Hubbard can be All-American. Listen, in this defense, he's got great football IQ, awareness. He makes the right play at the right time, physical, always in the right spot. That's what you need on the back end of a secondary. So Bray Hubbard, sky's the limit for this kid. I mean, he can make All-American if he wanted to.
Look, there are certain players that you kind of got to have a scout's eye to understand the technical side of why their technique translates to the next level, why this kid's special or not. And then there's those players that any dumbass sitting in the stadium can just look and say, oh, he's different. He's special. Well, those guys are the ones that, they're going to be All-Americans because the common fan can tell you, man, they're a little different. And anybody could have watched football this year could tell you Bray Hubbard has something that's a little different. And it's good what you said. His football IQ is off the charts. His nose for the ball, he's always around it. And that's only going to get better as he gets more familiar with the defense and gets more time in it. Yeah, the kid's I'm with Matt. I don't think he's All-SEC. I think he can be All-American. And I hate to say there's some ignorance with that. We all with the transfer portal, we don't know what other teams have got, what depth charts look like right now. But we have seen that kid play, and I know he can do it at the highest level.
I'm gonna agree with what y'all said. I think it's unanimous. Bray Hubbard can easily become an All-American. The sky's the limit with him. When I look at him, I automatically think Vinny Sinceri a little bit faster. If I want to go a little bit further back, if I want to draw a comparison about who probably made the best transition from quarterback to safety, you have to go back to the 90s, and you look at Scott Frost in Nebraska, played quarterback there, goes to NFL, transitions to safety with the New York Jets, and became an absolute star of that position, and definitely one of the hardest hitters in NFL at that time. If you had to draw a comparison, that's where you got to look right there. But, yeah, Bray Hubbard, definitely All-American, and could be an early draft pick. So I'm excited to see what he's going to be. He's going to be the undisputed leader in that defense, and he's going to be one of the main reasons why our defense is probably one in the top 10 next year. It all starts with him. Kenefi, I jumped ahead. I wish I understand that joke. He's talking about the hold the rope catchphrase
yeah.
from Coach
So
Fran.
yeah, basically, Coach Fran was the head coach at Alabama, and there were rumors coming from that, Texas A&M College Station, that Coach Fran would be the potential head coach. And the rumors broke out before. This is before social media. This is like talk radio, Feinbaum, newspaper. It broke before, and Coach Fran basically denied the reporter and was like, "Hey, guys, I'm still holding the rope for Alabama and all this stuff." And then next thing you know, he was doing a press conference in College Station, being introduced as the next head coach for Texas A&M. So that's the whole reference. Dan, Pettey, Justin, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think Chris has that T-shirt. Chris came home with a T-shirt. Hold the rope.
Hold the rope. That was
it was essentially meant to symbolize having each other's back, working your hardest, holding the rope, holding your brother accountable, holding each other up when you can't go anymore. Just the whole loyalty aspect of it.
And Smoke
fortunately, it didn't pan out that way. But yes, Pettey.
Smoke told the story of the Hawaii where they were out in Hawaii, and he walks by, and Fran is glued to the A&M game. And Smoke, if you've watched our show, Smoke's pretty outspoken. That didn't just start. He was like that in college too. And he called Fran out and was like, "What the hell are you watching that game for?" He's like, "There's no reason you would be glued into an A&M game. We're not playing them next week. We ain't playing them next season." So it was, like Matt said, rumors started coming pretty quick. There was reasons behind it, but Fran phony.
All right. The last true question came from the same man. Most underrated coach on Bama staff. This is a Matt Caddell type question, but I'll let Pettey and Dan answer it as well after him.
Yeah, let Matt, because Matt will give the more expert. I'm going to go Robert Gillespie, because he's the one, I think he's probably the most dynamic recruiter on the staff. So I'm going Gillespie, because he doesn't get, everybody's excited about Grubb. Sheridan gets the press. You're always going to talk about the defensive coordinators. Shepard, everybody loves him out at receiver coach. But no, Gillespie, man, I think Gillespie's that glue guy once the staff came over. And when everybody questioned, could this staff recruit in the South, Gillespie's a lot of the reason that they can.
Matt Caddell.
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say, a guy. You look at the combine. You look at a guy like Brian Ellis and what he was able to do with the guys. With Josh Quavers. Robbie Hughes. It's not his fault that they were underutilized. But you look at the way he transformed those guys, and so when you say underrated, I start with a guy like him.
That's tough. God, that is a great question. Shoot, I'm gonna say Coach Cap, the offensive line coach. I feel like Alabama's offensive line had its moments, but this guy's a great relationship guy. Great recruiter, and I think he's going to be a good teacher when he gets his guys in year 2 under running his offensive line like he wants it. So I'm going to go Coach Cal, O-line coach.
That's a good question.
One last question came in at the last minute. Damon Bama Boy Davis. Hey, panel, do you think Grubb will be? Do you think Grubb is one and done, or how long do you think he stays? What's his contract by years?
I'll let y'all address the details of the contract. But no, look, I know there's a reputation because it was so hard to get him here. He's turned it down a time or two. But there is the reputation. You do have a reputation in coaching circles, and he's cognizant of it. I don't think he would be a one and done. And he does have – I know there's the wife and all the outside noise or whatever, but there is a relationship with DeBoer. I don't think he would come for 1 year, finally coming with DeBoer, getting to Alabama and just abandon it 1 year. I think it would do too much, A, to his reputation, and B, I think there's going to be some loyalty factors there with DeBoer.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a 2 to 3 year deal. Especially Alabama wins national championship. He's going to be one of the biggest names probably out there just offensively. You know how it is, but I don't know if he, I don't know if he wants to be a head coach. He might want to. I just think he enjoys being a coordinator. And he didn't want to leave Washington to come to under Nick Saban just to be an offensive coordinator. So he's definitely getting paid handsomely. DeBoer is going to take care of him. University of Alabama is going to take care of him. So I don't see him leaving one and done. And he's been in the NFL this past year, got the can from the Seattle Seahawks. And, one thing I like about DeBoer's staff, it's his guys. It's his guys that he can, build his program around. So I say 2 to 3 years, at least 3 years.
Damn, put a bow on this.
Yeah, listen, we still haven't made it into the season with him, so
yeah.
This time I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let's get into the season with him. Then
Great point.
We can, but we
Nice.
we were left at the altar a couple of times, so let's get through this. I'd be happy with 1 year from him right now.
Well, I like Dan's answer.
Yeah.
Be
Great
patient,
point.
man, fans. Be patient. I know it's something we don't like to have a lot of here in Bama Nation, but hey, we are what we are. Man, great question and answer segment. Thank you to everyone who provided the content for us to answer for you. But I'm going to hand it back to these wonderful professionals here to start to close things up.
Matt, I know you're dealing with some weather issues. I kind of warned the fans, and I think most of them probably live in the same area, that if we're having technical difficulties, bear with us tonight because of the weather. Do you want to lead us out, or do you want me to run it, brother?
Oh, no, I was going to say thanks all the fans tuning in to the Final Whistle, the Bama Standard Network. We have so many shows. We got Take. We have Dan's show, the Crimson Dynasty. We have Hard in the Paint. Pettey, that's your show. Talking Bama on Sunday night. So we have a whole list of shows here on the Bama Standard. Listen, you can follow me on social media at the bottom of the screen. And but you can always see me here every Tuesday night with my rowdy group of guys here on the Final Whistle.
Yes, you can catch me on X at the Final Whistle Dan, Instagram Dan James IV. Tuesday nights right here with my Avengers, man. Great show tonight. Thank you, chat. Thank you everyone listening, tuning in. Thank y'all for y'all, comments in the chat and questions. We always look forward to answering you guys' questions at the end of the each show. And Wednesday nights, you catch me 6:30 p.m. 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central. The Crimson Dynasty. We'll have a show tomorrow. And I appreciate you guys. Y'all be sure to hit that like and subscribe, and be sure to follow the cast. Thank you.
Yeah, man, Dan, love you guys. I always love doing this show with you guys on the Tuesday night. This has been a fantastic show. I want to thank all the fans. I think y'all see me now more than my wife. So obviously I'm on this network.
Is that a good thing?
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing, but I'm here Monday nights with Smoke, creating controversy. I was here both shows tonight. I was there last week talking with Cody. We've done a lot of shorts with Teague and Roman Harper. Like Matt said, I'm back on Thursday nights with Going Hard in the Paint talking basketball. So yeah, all over the network. I couldn't be more appreciative. I'm sorry in advance to all you fans if too much, but I'm here dealing with it. Pettey _Daniel on Twitter. And man, catch us all over the network, but more importantly, where I got my start here on Tuesday nights with the Avengers at the Final Whistle. Love you guys. Been a great one. Hit that like and subscribe. If you are on Twitter X, come over to the Bama Standard on YouTube. Hit that subscribe so you get alerts for all that Bama content. Also, there's a network we're starting up. It's the Final Whistle, so we can cut up a little more. We get in a lot of trouble, hand slaps on the Bama Standard Network because we're a little too rowdy sometimes. So
Yeah.
we're starting some stuff, and that gives us a little more avenues so Lou and those guys can do some shows. So also the Final Whistle on the YouTube networks. Go over there, like it, subscribe it. We're going to be here for a few minutes longer till we build that up, but at some point we are going to transition, I think, over to that so we can expand this footprint that is the Bama Standard. I'm done talking.
And
Matt's
in conclusion,
I'm gonna put Matt into Chris James category here. If I keep
sorry guys. In conclusion, we like to end on those two amazing words: Roll Tide.
Tide.
Roll.